I'm Mary Jane, and I'm here with Dr. Feldman, and he is about to fill us in with his insight about marijuana. Dr. Feldman, before we begin, I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 62 years old. I went to a public high school, college prep, University of Wisconsin, did a little nuclear physics at Northwestern, went to Meharry Medical College, predominantly black medical school, did my residency at University of Hawaii, and then moved back to Nashville. I like the music business and the creativity here. I was the first doctor in Tennessee to advertise after suing the medical board in the state for the rights to. That got us into constant controversy, but it was necessary to help lower the cost of medicine. I backed the state's first outpatient surgery center. I ran for Congress and lost, but I got to meet President Reagan and old President Bush, the older one, in the White House. That was Interesting. And I practiced family practice for about 25, 28 years with zero claims paid malpractice over the last 33. I saw the need for the treatment of obesity. I lost a very good friend who came to me and said, look, I've tried all kinds of diets. And he was reading a book called The Last Chance Diet. And it was pretty much an Atkins diet. And I saw in my practice where there was a need for weight loss. And finally, in about 1995, I was a medical reporter. I had done television for 4 years and 10 years radio. And I kept up every week. I saw this Feldman thing that came out. And I opened 20 clinics in 12 states and treated obesity. And now we're expanding in the Southeast. I have clinics throughout Tennessee. We're expanding Kentucky. And we were all over Georgia, which great growth in Atlanta. Atlanta's like a country all by itself. It's a huge city.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I do. I treat obesity.
That is wonderful. Now, as a doctor, what is your medical opinion on marijuana?
It's varied. I think that the use of marijuana, medical marijuana, if not abused, is very important. My father just passed away this summer, and my brother brought him a prescription in cookies and brownies for, he had pain. If we used pharmaceutical pain meds, morphine and the like, his blood pressure would drop too low. And the marijuana brought him relief. I think it's extremely important in patients with pain, with cardiac problems, heart problems, that they get something to help them be comfortable that won't kill them. In fact, what took him out was morphine at the end, but it really was his time to go.
That's horrible, though.
Well, we come and we go. I mean, nobody lives forever. But I think in pain use, it can be abused, but you know, when you think about it, what's so healthy about alcohol or cigarettes?
Yeah.
Or, you know, beer, whiskey, all that needs to be controlled. I think that there has to be an age limit on it.
Yes.
And people shouldn't operate machinery, drive cars, fly airplanes, using any drug that intoxicates you.
Yeah. And that's going to bring us to our next question. How do you feel about, you know, the use of marijuana over alcohol and tobacco?
Well, marijuana, the active ingredient, delta-9 levulinic tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the active ingredient in marijuana, is a potent drug. And so is alcohol. So is nicotine. I would say that marijuana would be the least addictive of those three. My knowledge of pharmaceutical medications, and you know, I'm in the business of treating addictions, and I would think marijuana would be the least addictive. You know, you hear it leads to further drug use. That may be from the peers you hang around with, but you know, for relaxation, I wouldn't want, you know, if you're in college and you're trying to learn something, it stops your short-term memory. You know, I'm just remembering why I know about marijuana. As a sophomore medical student, I had to do a report on it.
Really?
So then, you know, that's probably why I remember this. If you can't put things when you study in the short-term memory, they don't stay in your long-term memory. So if you're a college student, or if you're trying to learn a job, if you're a pilot, truck driver, or you drive a car, I don't think you should be smoking marijuana and then doing that. But if if you just have a regular job and you get home, I mean, what's worse, 3 or 4 beers or a half of marijuana? It's up to the person, but it's ridiculous to criminalize the use of marijuana. And I think most jurisdictions have stopped that. I mean, if you used to be, you got caught with a joint, but they put you in jail and you have to get a lawyer, and that's silly. But now, selling it in large quantities, that's a job for the politics. That's a job for the laws of the state. But if it was legalized and controlled, like alcohol, it could be taxed. Money could be made on it. But I don't think it's the panacea of just legalize it and smoke it and there'd be no problems. Of course, there's going to be abuse of marijuana, as there's abuse of wine, whiskey, and beer, and cigarettes.
Why do you think marijuana has not been legalized?
The answer to that is political. The people that make the laws have to run for office, and the majority of the people don't want it legalized. Majority of the people that vote. So if they vote the legislature in, the legislature is obviously not going to legalize it.
Dr. Feldman, have you ever heard of another person under the influence of marijuana harming another person?
And that's a very interesting question. I worked emergency rooms as a resident in Hawaii, and I worked emergency rooms as I was building my practice. And you get a lot of people in that, people get in fights. They seem to get angry and want to fight. Some people, it brings that out in their personality on alcohol, but I don't recall anybody getting into fights who had smoked pot. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Yeah. Now, Dr. Feldman, one last question. Do you feel that marijuana is a lot safer than a lot of other prescription drugs on the market today?
Let me tell you what they told me in medical school. No drug is safe. No drug is without side effects. And no drug is without any risk. They all have risk. You have to balance the risk versus the benefit. Like I said, when I refer to my father or other patients in pain, you don't want somebody to lay there in pain. Of course, it's good to use it in that instance when other drugs may drop the blood pressure too low or not work. But saying that, people are going to use things to relax, to alter their state of mind. I don't think that marijuana is any more dangerous than alcohol, which is legalized. It's things in moderation, but can everybody moderate? No. Many people have addictive personalities. I'm in the treatment of obesity. Alcoholics are the same as carboholics or gamblers anonymous groups, that people that gamble have addiction, shopaholics, and the like. What's that?
My phone.
Huh?
That was my phone.
That's your phone. See, I'm on a TV interview here. That's all right. This is the kind of... I bet everybody watching this show is probably high anyway.
Yeah, they probably are.
That's all right.
It's the tech show.
But, so I think in that perspective, marijuana is certainly no worse and probably better than alcohol or Xanax or Valium or hydrocodone or OxyContin. Those are all way worse than marijuana. But if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, I don't know, Indian chiefs, they smoke. They smoke stuff. But if you want to be a doctor or lawyer, I'd say don't smoke marijuana. You won't remember enough to get it into long-term memory to pass the test.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be okay if the politicians got together and the people wanted it to legalize marijuana. We could have more control over it. You'd know they weren't putting bad stuff in it. It'd be safer. So in that instance, and I'm not just saying this for your show, which I'm not, Yes, it would be better to legalize it than to criminalize it.
This is Mary Jane, and thank you, Dr. Feldman, so much for being on our show. And tune in next week, and we will have another interview for you guys as soon as possible. Bye.
My wings so I can fly away.